Okay.
Okay, so with that, Sean, I'm going to hand the mic over to you for our presentation tonight. Thanks everybody for being here.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming. I do appreciate everybody taking time. I know your time is precious, so we'll hopefully get through this in an hour and answer all your questions and provide as much information as we can about automation. So with me is in this presentation, other than Colleen and Emily, is Kelly Robinson, who is the operations manager as well, and Barb Floden is our communications manager. So they're with me. So we're here to talk about automation and the reasons why North Cowichan is considering it. We think that there are advantages, and we're interested in getting that information out to people so that they are able to answer the survey with as much information as they have, as they can. And then at the end of this, there's an opportunity for us to answer any questions that you have as well. So that's what we're trying to accomplish here in this hour. There is a website and a FAQ, or frequently asked questions document, that I will talk about at the end of the presentation that provides even more information and ways to get a hold of us. So that's coming up as well. So with that, we'll move on to the next slide. So, I got to go to the next slide on my computer now. There we go. So the reason the system that we have in place right now is a manual system. You can see by this photo here, the drivers get out of the truck at each stop and put the material in. We currently have 4 trucks. We have 3 drivers. We have 10,000 homes that we service annually, manually, and that is done by North Cowichan staff. And we do the garbage and we do the organics, and then a third party does the recycling, and it's all done manually. Again, 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. So I'll move on to the next slide, please. So our current challenges are the age of the equipment. So our trucks range from age 2006 to 2014. We generally get about 10 to 12 years in a truck. So some of them are overdue and some of them are coming up fairly quickly. So this is actually an opportune time for us to consider automation. If our trucks were newer, it wouldn't make as much sense, but seeing how we're having to replace them in the next few years, it's a good time to consider this, and that's why we brought it forward. In addition to that, health and safety is a concern for us at North Cowichan. We have had some WorkSafe claims or some WCB claims in the last few years. As people can appreciate through the last photo, it is a very physical job. And on a typical day, a driver will get in and out of the truck up to 900 times and lift up to 5 tons. So even though a garbage can is only 35 times, or sorry, 35 pounds, 900 times a day adds up, and it is a very physical, demanding job. And as a result of that, we have had some retention and diversification issues, and having an automated system, if the public and the people want that, would help us rectify those couple of issues. So as far as service limitations, there are currently some limitations that include the weight of the system. So right now, the maximum weight for a garbage can is 35 pounds and the size is 77 liters. For recycling, it's 120 liters. So there are limitations for people who use the service, and those limitations would be eliminated or reduced if we went to automation. Next slide, please. So an automated system is what you can see here on the left. It is a system that allows a driver to operate a mechanical arm from inside the cab and lift the garbage or recycling or organics into the truck and then place it back down at the curb. So again, that removes the weight restrictions. There really is no weight restrictions with this system, so it is an improvement. Another advantage of this system is the yard waste option. So collecting yard waste with the kitchen waste would be a benefit to some, and again, that's what we're looking for feedback and trying to determine if that's an option. It can be a yes or a no. There is improved efficiencies. These, as the drivers become trained and skilled on these pieces of equipment, they actually move quicker than the manual system. So there is some improved efficiencies. You can see on the left here is a good example of some carts that are typical. So we haven't in North Cowichan decided exactly what size carts we would be putting out for people if this program is successful. But you can see typically what you would be looking at is in the black bin there would be a garbage bin, and that would be about 80 to 100 liters. So that compares, it's about the same size, maybe a little bit bigger than the current 77 liter can that we're allowed now with the manual system. The middle one, or the green one there, is a yard waste or a kitchen waste option, and that one's about 240. So again, quite significantly larger, lots of yard waste and potential for kitchen waste in there. And then the blue one is recycling. That can be up to 360 liters. So quite big compared to what we have right now, which is, we don't have bins. I recognize that, but there is definitely a lot of options for people to improve their bin sizes and to increase the amount of recycling that they do. Another option that we are contemplating is for larger families. We would have the option to give them larger bins. If you have a family with a few kids, maybe you want 180 liter, and that would eliminate the need to have the garbage tag. So that's an advantage of this system here, is the different size bins. Alternatively, for smaller families, you could have potentially a smaller recycle bin or a smaller organics bin if space is an issue, that sort of thing. So these are the options as far as sizes and different sizes of garbage bins that we're looking at. We haven't finalized that at this point. We're looking for that input from people, and we'll with council ultimately making the decision, but that's the information that we'll use. In this, there's also an option here for bare bins as well. So that's an improvement, bear resistant bins for organics material that would be an improvement over a system that we have right now. As well, this system is maybe some people recognize is becoming the industry standard. We see it in the CVRD, we see it in Nanaimo and in Port Alberni, and then even north of that in the CRD in Victoria. So this is a system that's been around for quite a while, and definitely has a lot of advantages as I've laid out. So we'll move on to the next slide, please, Colleen. So as far as the costs go for the program, you can see on the left here is the current cost, which is $111. It's 2021. That is a cost per household per year. If we were going to go to an automated system without yard waste, it's approximately 168, and with yard waste, it would be 182. Pardon me, and that is for all three streams. That is for the garbage and the organics and the recycling bins. The costs for the system, the increased cost, there's a couple things that factor into that. The cost of the trucks are marginally more expensive than a regular manual truck, but not considerably, about $10,000 per truck. But that automation does cost a bit more. Those trucks have significantly come down in price over the last several years, so it's not a huge cost. The lion's share of the cost of the additional cost is for the bins. So like I say, if this program is successful, North Cowichan would supply all 3 bins to the customers, and then we would also repair and replace bins as necessary. So it's a large part of this cost. And as well, we would eliminate the tag system, so people wouldn't have to have tags. They could potentially have larger size bin at an increased cost, which would eliminate them needing to get the tags. So there's costs associated with that, potential costs associated with increased tipping fees. For instance, if we go from 77 liters to 100 liters, there'd be a slight increase in cost there, because that'll be a little bit more garbage that will be taken to the landfill. But ultimately, these are the sort of the decisions, the sizes that we're hoping to come out of the survey to help us determine, whether a 77 is a good size, or 100 is better, or 80 liters. So we're working at this, and that's why we're encouraging people to put in their information in that survey. And then we talked about the yard waste. So part of this additional cost is the yard waste. If we have to dispose of that, then there's a cost associated with that, as well as a cost to implement the program. If it is successful, communication, that sort of thing. And then administration costs, we would be looking at making sure that we know exactly who's got what bin and what size and that sort of thing. So there's some administration costs. So that's where these additional costs come from. I will say that this, and this is in some of the information that we have online, these costs are in line with other systems that are on Vancouver Island. Typically, we're seeing about $200, some a little bit more, some a little bit less per household per year. So these costs are in line with other communities that are doing the similar service. So we'll move on to the next one. So yeah, so that's the lion's share of what I wanted to say with respect to the system that we're putting forth here. The survey is open to the 13th, so still another couple weeks to do that survey, and we're quite happy with the amount of people that have had a look at it and completed it to date. So we're excited that we're going to get some good numbers. It's only about a dozen questions. It shouldn't take any more than 5-10 minutes to complete. And there is a hard copy version that is available if need be at Municipal Hall in the upper area there where finance is. One of the things that we are asking in the survey is basic questions about what part of town people live in. What is their current bin use, as I talked about before? Are they recycling with the plastic bags? Are they using bins? What size of bin do they currently use? Do they use more than 77 liters? And also, what if they're in favor of this program? What is it that they like about it? Is it the yard waste? Is it the increased bin size? And then the opposite of that being, if you're not in favor of it, what is it? Is it the increase in cost? Is it the increased size of the bins? And there's other reasons, obviously, that people would not be in favor of it. So those are the general questions we're asking people. There's also a opportunity for people to put comments in the survey as well. Survey is anonymous, so there'd be no names attached to it. So move on to the next slide, which I think my next slide. So the next steps for us is following the September 13th deadline for the survey. We will collate the responses, do an analysis, and determine, if if people want to go ahead with the service and why, and do they want yard waste, and we will take that information and we will present it to council this fall, so they have all the information, and the expectation or the hope is that council will make a decision using not only the information they gather from the survey, but other operational issues and HR issues that they might want to consider as part of this decision, and moving into the winter, have a decision on whether or not to move forward with automation. So on the screen here, you can see, as I alluded to earlier in the presentation, that there are a couple ways to gain additional information. So we have a website or a web page that's dedicated to this survey, and you can see that at the bottom of the screen here, northcowichan.ca /curbside survey. So lots of information on there, including the survey itself, as well as background information, frequently asked questions, and that sort of thing. Ultimately, this video will be on here. There's another video on automation that helps explain it as well. So I encourage people to go to the website. In addition to that, if you have any questions that we weren't able to answer today, or something you think about, there's an email there, which is curbside survey at northcowichan.ca. So we'll be happy to answer any other questions that you might have about this. And then as well, you can give us a call Monday to Friday at 250-746-3106. So that is basically all that I want to say as far as the presentation. So I really encourage your questions. So I'll pass it back to Colleen for her to facilitate that right now. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Sean. This is a really good overview. We appreciate it. I'm going to leave this slide up just for a moment in case anybody wants to take note of those numbers or addresses before I close it off, so we can see each other a bit better. As I said, we're going to collect questions in the chat window. So that would be where we can type that in, type in any questions now. If you don't want to post it publicly for everyone to see, feel free to send the question to me directly. You can do that by just clicking on my name from the drop-down menu where it says everyone right now, and just selecting me and send it, and I'm happy to pose it to Sean. So that chat is open anytime. People can drop in a question there. Sean, while I give that a moment to happen, I have a couple of questions that have come in just through like social media and emails as well. I thought I might pose one or two of those to you. The first one was whether or not this automated collection would mean a change or a reduction, in the workforce that's required for waste collection in North Cowichan.
No, we are not anticipating there'll be any change to the current allotment of staff we have right now, which is 3. I did mention that we are expecting that the efficiency will be increased, but it's not significant enough to justify any changes to the staffing level. We are anticipating, and we are working towards getting more people to put their recyclables and organics and yard waste, if it comes to that, to the curb. So that's how we feel that we'll be able to offset any increased efficiencies. But no, there's no plan to remove any labor.
Okay. And then another one, Steve, I do see your hand up. If it's possible to type in your question, that would be great. Oh, I see one more just coming in. Great. So the question is about kind of degree of confidence in the cost estimate at this point, Sean. So, some understanding that in other municipalities, the price of an automated service like this is even higher than has been suggested would be the price here. How confident are you in that cost estimate of the 182 or the 164 per year at this stage? Sorry, 168 a year.
We are confident that the number is about 6 months old now. There might be some increases to bins, but we're not expecting that is going to be significant. We do right now belong to Recycle BC, so we are able to we receive money from Recycle BC to do the recycling component of this. So there is a that is factored into the cost, and I know some other communities have that as well as we have a contractor that's providing us the recycling service. So all that's factored in, and we are comfortable with these numbers.
Okay, great. I've had a question to Steve has asked if he can raise his question verbally. I feel like with our group today that would work okay, Sean. So I'm just gonna, Steve, give you access for a moment here. Hopefully you can get, there we are.
Okay, hi there. First of all, thank you, Colleen and Kelly and Sean for it's a real this Zoom and a way that we're communicating in the last couple of years is very helpful in one way, and that is we get to meet the people who run our municipality. Normally, most of us don't travel over there and way over the highway and get to know who's behind the, other than the front desk when we pay our taxes, but we don't do that anymore either. So this is a treat. I think it's really great that you three of you are communicating with us. Happen to be, this isn't my role in calling tonight or being including in this. I happen to be a director of the Cowichan Lake Neighborhood Association, one of the 5. And so I'm online a little bit and I hear people talking about this issue. I'll just say for a couple of things. One is I moved here. I grew up here, but I moved back here a few years ago. And one of the first things that struck me was the waste, and it was the yard waste. I couldn't figure out why in the world everybody, especially little old people like, I don't think I'm a little old person, but there's little old people that have to drive over to Bings Creek to get rid of, their tree branch stuff or some of their garden waste. And a lot of people love their gardens in this area. So it seemed futile and expensive. And for people to have to buy trucks just to travel over to Bings Creek, grass waste, whatever. I moved from here from Victoria, Saanich. Victoria and Saanich both have this system, and I've experienced it, so I know how it works, and it's great. And I applaud the idea of, if you're going to replace your trucks, you want to have mechanical. Why wouldn't you want a mechanical arm to take the stress and strain that hurts workers? It doesn't make any sense. So I think is a no-brainer in that regard. I think the only hesitation I have personally is I can't quite understand the increased cost, but that's more of a budget issue. I can't figure out why the capital budget isn't taking care of the replacement of these trucks. Maybe it's because this is going to be an increased service and so on, but it may end up that you don't have a lot of people, as many people going to Bings Creek. I think there's many pluses to this. One of the things I've noticed on social media in the last week is there's some elderly people in Maple Bay Area and some others that are worried. They have long driveways. There was one person I mentioned read about, and she was worried she couldn't get her garbage can down the road. I'm not sure if she realizes they have wheels. I know they have wheels, but I think those are pretty isolated examples, and so I really think this is a positive thing. I certainly support it. I hate paying more taxes. I pay more taxes here. You don't care to know this, but I pay more taxes here than I did in Oak Bay, where I moved from. And I got a little wee rancher, and there's only 2 of us in it, so we're not pumping out the big garbage things. One of the questions I
Oh,
have is
sorry,
that,
Steve, I think I also heard a couple of questions in that piece. Do you want me to kind of pop in and pose those to Sean, or should I take notes of a couple and then pass over to him?
sure.
Okay, so I heard a question, Sean, in that about the long driveways, I guess, and I know that's something that you've also heard about. Is there, what do people do with that when they have a long driveway like that with these new carts?
Well, I mean, there are a couple options, and the first one is Steve alluded to is they do have wheels, so you would be able to wheel them to the curb. But I also have had people mention to me that they don't think they would be able to do that, and they currently put the garbage can in the back of their car, which they wouldn't be able to do with the automated. So an option available for that is for people to leave these bins at the end of their driveway, which they would be able to just leave them empty, and then same as they are doing now, they would bring their bin and garbage and put it into the automated and roll it the 20 or 30 feet to the to the curb. So that is one option, as well as the wheeling. Those are the 2 I think that should solve the majority of any issues.
Sure. And then just another question, Steve, if I'm paraphrasing it, hopefully on track, was about the capital cost of the trucks. Is there no reserves that have already been set aside to help contribute to that replacement cost? Why does this increase need to cover that as well?
So there is a reserve that covers the cost of the trucks. So if the decision is made by council and the survey says the same, we will go in with the manual system, and we do have money to be able to do that. So the additional cost for trucks, pardon me, is only for the trucks to make them automated. So $50,000 ish for those 2 trucks to get us from a manual to automated. But the trucks themselves, we have budgeted in a reserve fund.
Great.
Okay.
Steve, did you have another question?
Yeah, just to follow up on that. So if we have experienced an increase, I'm guessing you might not be the ones to answer this, but I'll ask it anyway. If we were to get this increase, because I think most people are going to support this, but I think there's a few that are worried about a few things. And one of my worries is, okay, we get an increase in our tax allotment assessment each year. Once you've done the conversion, this is probably a stupid question, but do our taxes return to the lower amount?
Well, I mean, there is an option for that. I mean, one of the options that we could go with is that the primary cost for this program is for the bins. And one option that I hadn't considered or is not part of this proposal at this point is that homeowners pay the bins off right away, and then the prices do go down. But we haven't considered that in this. This price is for the continuation on and on, and it wouldn't go down. And the reason for that is we still have a need to repair, and we have a need to replace the bins ongoing. So we expect that we would get about 10 years out of the bins, but we are going to have to replace bins at some point. So if homeowners pay for the bins and then the costs go down, then when there'll be no funding available to replace and repair the bins. So there are 2 options available, and that's something we'll discuss with council. But at this point, we're looking at this cost to be consistent across from year to year.
Steve, before I let you jump in with another one, I just want to reiterate that if anybody else has any questions, please feel free to pop them in the chat and we can intersperse them for sure. So please feel free to join in and add something in there if you would like to pose any other questions to Sean and Kelly. I am continuing to monitor that. So, and we can still definitely receive questions that way. Steve, do you have another one or two questions?
Just to respond to Sean, in Saanich, in Oak Bay, Saanich, and Victoria, if you move into an area in that area, you pay for the bin. It's like it used to be about $80 or something. It's not, and then it's a one-time fee. But if your bin disintegrates at some point, you replace it yourself. I think what you may want to, I think people would rather do that. I see it as a savings than they look after their bins. And also they don't have an annual increase would be significantly more over time, possibly, at least in their minds. So that would be my wondering, and it may be, I'm sure you've done this or you're going to do this, is it would be worth talking to their experienced people in those municipalities, see how they're doing. I know you probably did that. But I think it's a win-win in so many ways, and it's going to save costs on WorkSafe BC. I appreciate that, and so I think it's just I think, and I heard people saying, "Oh, they should be hiring these muscle-bound guys." That's not an issue. That I know better. You can be Arnold Schwarzenegger and hurt yourself. So, and some of those bins weigh a lot even now. So you're on the right track. I just want to support that. But I think it's the cost thing is bothering some people, me a little, but
Yeah.
and I think if you can resolve, you already suggested something about people worried about getting it to the end of their long driveway. If they have a long driveway, they probably have a big property. And one question somebody's going to ask is multi-home properties, multi-family properties. Do they get multi-bins, or how does that work? I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Before I pass that question off, I just, really encouraging people to fill out the survey, because that's the best way for us to collect that feedback like you've just given to us, both your support, but also your questions and the things that are standing out as concerns. So we definitely appreciate your attention, and, of course, anything that you can do to help share that survey so that more people fill it out and raise that, then that's great. And it's a good way of us kind of capturing the feedback from everybody at the end of this. So Sean, I'll pass that kind of last question back to you from Steve. Sorry, it's about multifamily houses and how those would be handled with an automated collection service.
Well, if it is a basement suite, if it is a legal suite, then they will get 2 sets of bins, and that legal suite pays for their garbage fee separately than the primary suite, so that will continue, and as well, we don't collect multifamily currently beyond duplexes, so that'll stay the same. We're not in a position at this point where we're collecting curbside multifamily, but if there is a legal suite, we will collect that.
Great. I had one more question come in about the timeline ahead. Is there an estimate about when a decision would be made about this, and if that decision is yes, what a rollout timeline might look like?
So we are planning to take this to council in the fall. So October is what I'm thinking. October, November. If council wants to move forward, then the earliest that we would be able to actually roll this out as far as collecting automated containers or bins at the curb would be 2013. We would have to get the trucks, order the trucks and order the bins. So that would be a considerable amount of time to procure that and get them in place. So So that would be the earliest in the decision from council is if they want to move forward, what would happen with the rates in 2012 or sorry 2022. So there's still a lot of semantics that we have to work out with council if this does go forward with the earliest. We do expect that a decision be made prior to the 2022 budget year, but the earliest that those trucks would be operating would be 2023.
So that is the last question I see in the chat. I had one last prepared question, Sean, that I'm going to throw your way just to give everybody kind of their last chance to type something in if they have anything else that they want to bring forward to you today. So if you have any last thoughts, please feel free to share them in the chat now and I can pose them. But Sean, another one that we've heard is just about the question of encouraging further waste diversion and how an automated program helps with that ultimate goal for the community.
Yeah, that is a great question because ultimately that's our number one goal is to keep as much material out of the landfill as we can. So this program does that in a couple ways. And the first one is that we would supply people with a base size of a bin. So if say that was 80 liters, that everybody would get a 80-liter bin, which is similar to what they have right now. If they wanted or needed a larger bin, that there would be a cost associated with that. If you went to 120 or maybe 180. So we're encouraging people to do that, to be efficient and recycle by paying people having to pay more for larger bids. In addition to that, this system is going to be very easy to or very well to promote recycling in that the bin size will be able to be increased at probably, and again, we haven't worked out the details, but usually what happens is there's no additional cost for a larger bin. So if you want a 360-liter recycle bin, then we'll give you that. And that is a lot of recycling. The same with yard waste and with kitchen waste. There be larger sizes available. That's how we are going to encourage people to recycle their garbage.
Great. Okay. We are at the end of the list of questions, both in the chat and that I've collected kind of through social media posts and stuff as well that I thought would be useful for us to cover. So I'm just going to share that screen for one more moment, just that includes the website address and the email and phone number for people who might be looking to make note of that, to get in touch after tonight. Again, we will post the recording of this info session along with another one that we're doing on Thursday over the lunch hour from 12 to 1 o'clock on the website so that people can share it and pass it along. And hopefully help encourage others to fill out the survey, because that will be very helpful to everybody over at the municipality in considering this proposal moving forward. So with that, I will turn off my share screen and say thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Sean, for your time walking through all that information and answering those questions. And so for everyone who joined us, have a really great night, and we hope to talk to you again.
Thanks, everyone.